People provoke you to become a prodigal. The goal is to get you to run. Now, this is something that definitely has a lot to do in the family dynamic that you get sort of practice in before you become an adult. If you have ever run away from your family, your house, right? Stuff was getting too hard for you to deal with in your family dynamic. And so you just decided to run away. Whatever the situation is, you just name it however way you want to do it. Well, if you're not immediately corrected once you do come back to the house, you'll realize that running away worked. It don't seem like it should have that kind of understanding. But if you didn't immediately get a whooping, like for me, I ran away one time from my mom. My mom was it was hard dealing with her. It was always a hostile environment. I was actually the scapegoated child. I was mistreated. I was isolated. Right, there was a lot of hostility. And one day she said she was going to whoop me. And she had always whipped me, and I guess I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't take it at time. So I took the key that I had to my house, to the house, and I left out the back door and I ran away. And I ran to where my aunt lived. She lived in we lived in the same apartments, but she lived in a different part of the complex. And so I got to her side of the apartment complex, and I sat down on the stairs. And I don't know, I just couldn't take it. I cried, I did whatever I did. Then I looked at my key, and then I realized I needed to go back. So then I got up from on the stairs and I knocked on my aunt's door, and she was shocked to see me, and she was scared for me as well. And so then she drove me back to my mom's house, and then my mom was visibly scared, crying and everything, and I think she hugged me, and then that was it. But she didn't sit me down and have a conversation about it. She didn't go get the belt. She didn't stick to what she said she was going to do, which is whip me. So then because she didn't do that, maybe something on the inside of me said that what I did worked. Now, I didn't have the language for that. I didn't even think about it like that. It wasn't until I started to reflect on my childhood as an adult that I realized that's what I was thinking at that time. Because then I didn't run anymore after that, but I did run later in life from other types of situations. On a side note, my mom realized that in me running away, she could use that to her advantage when she was trying to get back at her ex-husband. She would have him come pick me up when she was having her moments, her um, um, frustration type moments. Have him come pick me up. I stay over the weekend with his new wife, but she was using that situation to kind of um, involve herself in his new marriage. And so then she would call and say, call the house and basically say, come on back. You come back, we can go shopping. Everything will be okay. Everything will be all right. So then we got into that pattern. So I started running. She didn't correct me. We didn't have a sit down, teachable moment, correction moment. And then she started using it to her advantage to the point that I got an adult and I started running. Okay. So then when I got to high school and I graduated from high school, she was about to get married again. And she didn't tell me to leave, but she provoked me in such a way that I knew I had to go because she was not going to bring another man in there. And I'm 18, 19 years old, just kind of graduated from high school, don't know what to do with myself. And so the way she put it, you know, um, I ended up running. And so I ran, moved in with a boy, and then that situation did not turn out right. Then I ended up calling my father. So now I've moved from she calling my stepfather and trying to involve herself in his marriage to me now calling me, getting myself into trouble, running, and then calling him. Okay. So then a lot of still running. In certain ways, I stuck with school. See, you can have a runner in you, but still accomplish stuff on in other areas of your life. But that doesn't mean that you have addressed the runner in you. Procrastination is kind of like a type of running because you don't get anything done. So I moved the running to procrastination, right? Adopted a whole mindset, core value system, everything. I actually called myself the queen of procrastination. But I ended up realizing that I lost a lot of opportunities because I procrastinated. And so then I had a breakdown. I didn't necessarily have the typical breakdown that people would have, and then they have to go to a mental health facility, but I just emotionally broke down and said I can't do this anymore. So that ended that particular process. That reflection ended that running there. But it wasn't until much later in life when I really truly realized that I struggled with running and that I had to begin addressing it. And a lot of times when we run, it is because we are afraid to address something with the person who is provoking us to run. Because then the run will turn into you becoming a prodigal. And if anyone understands the prodigal story, they understand that he wanted all his money now. The father was going to leave an inheritance for him and his brother, and but he didn't want to wait. He wanted all his money now. So then he goes and wastes his life, becomes homeless, and he's sitting in a pig pen, and realized that his father had more that he could be a part of. And so then he returned home and was willing to work, but the father went out, hugged him, and welcomed him back into the fold. But he was a prodigal. The prodigal is a mindset that opposes God, that is very disobedient, that's a runner, that struggles in other areas, right? So prodigal, spending money or resources freely, recklessly, and wastefully, meaning that there is no purpose. Runner, a person who runs especially in a specified way. A specified way is a prodigal. A specified way could be in your finances. You know you need to address your finances. You know you need to work better on your finances. A specified way could be a person who always has to live with someone. That's why you have a whole bunch of homosexuals who instead of trying to get their lives together, get a job, keep a place, stay in that place, pay for that place themselves, they would rather hop from house to house to house. And then when they get older, 50, 60, 70 years old, they don't have anything to show for it. That's running. That's running in a specified way. They may not necessarily be spiritual, biblical prodigals, but they are prodigal to their own lives, right? So when they provoke you to become a prodigal, is the goal is to get you to run. So they'll provoke you. Anytime anyone has ever been bullied, what did you do? You tried to run away from the situation. You didn't try to stick and fight because the person was too big for you. And a lot of times the person had a crew. So then once the bully started to fight you, then everybody else will start fighting you. So you felt like all of us have felt who have been bullied. The best option was to run. But the more you keep doing that, you keep running and keep running and keep running, and you're never really accomplishing anything. That only works cinematically, like for Forrest Gump, where Jenny is telling him to run, and then it turns into an opportunity for him to run playing football in college, and then it turns into an opportunity for him to run um, in the army, in the military, and then he ends up getting out. And then when Jenny Jenny rejects him almost for the last time, he ends up doing this cross country running, right? And that's still a runner. Now that is him running out of the grief of dealing with Jenny and frustrations out of life. That's a specified way. But then he realized he ended up having to come back home. That eventually he was going to have to come back home, address the absence of Jenny, grieve that, ride it out, and then one day she just showed up. Oh no, one day she sent a letter, and he went to meet her, and then she came back, and then she died shortly after that. But Jenny was running, and Jenny was running because of what she was exposed to as a child, and so she kept running and running and running and running into drugs and bad men and abusive relationships, probably sexual violations, things like that, to the fact that she got AIDS. That's what stopped her. That's what slowed her down and stopped her. And well, having a child slowed her down. AIDS stopped her. So a person can, when people provoke you to become a prodigal, the goal is to get you to run. is it could be in different types of ways. You just have to determine if it's a runner in you, because if you find yourself acting recklessly, whether it's spending or just acting in that way, that's likely you being a prodigal. But you usually become a prodigal when you refuse instruction, when you are disobedient. There's an instruction. I'm going to leave this to you for your inheritance. This is not for you to have right now. You say, no, I want it right now. But you don't have any guidance, any instruction, any direction on how to spend it. So then you end up spending it recklessly. That's the biblical version of prodigal. But you can run again in any other area of your life, struggling, not realizing that you are running. So people provoke you to become a prodigal. The goal is to get you to run. All right, so thank you very much for listening to this series. Visit, subscribe, and follow. So you can find my website, reginawhitefavors.com. I'm on YouTube, of course, youtube.com/ at Regina White Favors. And then my Amazon author page is amazon.com/author/ Regina White Favors. So do take some time to think about some of the ideas that I went through in this particular Shake the Dust Off Your Feet series. I don't know if I'm going to have a book component. I'm not quite sure just yet, but it is something that I am considering. So I do hope that you will listen to the full series. I'm going to have it in full as one video length, and then I'm going to have it separate as well. So thank you very much for listening. Please visit, subscribe, and follow. Have a great day.